messages, right? I am joined by uh, Debbie Ray, retired from OIT, but monitoring the chat. And so we are going to get started. So this is no prep, low prep, quick and simple activities to keep students engaged, or have extension activities ready in minutes, which is typically when I find I need these activities the most. So my name is Coraline McKenna, she, her. I am an OIT teacher specialist. If you are in any of the high schools, I work predominantly with the high schools, but we do all sorts of things here at OIT. I also, as it says here, is a teacher of many students at once, multiple times a day. So I am currently assigned to Brooklyn Park Middle School, where I teach 7th grade science. I teach 2 sections of science. I teach 2 classes at a time, twice a day. I teach 60 kids at once, first period, and 60 kids again in second period. I teach both on level and co-taught. So it's a busy day. So I really wasn't quite sure where to go with this. We have some resources for you. I wanted to keep it secondary, focused. And Stephanie said something this morning while she was introducing me that Tracy and I were sharing some of our experiences because we've been in the classroom. And quite frankly, I've been in the classroom. I've never not been in the classroom. I took this job last April, in which I had just left a classroom to take it, and I was back. So I only was out of the classroom for about 2.5 months. So there's that. So I've got a couple of different things that we are going to discuss. We have a link to there is a link to the presentation in the chat, because this one actually has links if you that I'm going to ask you to click on at some point. But we have 5-minute fillers for any lesson. Those are things that we keep in Teacher Intro Digital Tools. I want to touch on Brightspace discussion boards, Lumio, Quizlet Live, Discovery Ed. Maybe we'll talk about Adobe Express. Maybe we won't have time. And WeVideo. And the way I kind of set this up is I really kind of thought about it, and I thought about what is the most useful thing for teachers to know about no prep, low prep lessons. And then I really thought about, well, how have I used any of these things? So I've written a little blurb about kind of each one and why I like them. And so I'm going to kind of cruise through those, and then I'll kind of show you what they are. Those links are there intended to help you navigate to these resources, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth. But 5-minute fillers for any lesson. This is a page that we developed after I really needed something very quick and easy for some of my fast finishers one day while I was teaching. And I realized that I could use just a very simple Brightspace assignment, some text and a picture, and I could have myself an assignment within a couple minutes. So these 5-minute fillers are, it's stored, like I said, it's in digital takeout. This is our secondary kind of slot. And really what they are, they're just copy and paste Brightspace assignments. So what you can really do, you've seen them all, right? 3 truths and a lie. I see, I think, I wonder, and complete the story. If you expand these, it tells you kind of what you need to do. Insert a picture in the Brightspace assignment. And then you can copy and paste the following instructions into your Brightspace assignment. So pretty easy to use. I have, like I said, used this particular assignment myself, and I just really liked how simple it was. We sometimes forget that Brightspace can just be a Brightspace assignment. It doesn't have to be a graded assignment. It can just be something that gets students thinking. I'm a big fan of complete the story. I have the example of the one that I used, which, if you're not familiar with complete the story, essentially it's artful thinking routine in which you show students a picture of something, and then you ask them to describe if this picture takes place in the beginning, the middle, or the end of the story, and then write out your story below. In this case, they were talking about chemical or physical changes that might have occurred. So some of those sentence starters would be, if this was at the beginning, what might happen next? If it was in the middle, what happened before? What might happen after? If it's at the end, what came before it? So either way, the complete the story is a fun activity and really easy to put into a Brightspace assignment. I use it as an extension. Kids were getting done. I need something for them to be able to do. I wanted to keep it relevant. You'll find the common theme in all of these is nothing is wasted time. I'm 100% a bell-to-bell teacher, much to my students' chagrin. But there's always some way that we can continue to process our learning and reinforce our learning. So the next thing is a Brightspace discussion board. These are really great. I have a forum set up for the quarter, so I can use them whenever I need to, and that kind of makes it a little bit easier to jump in and do these quickly. Setting up a new topic is pretty straightforward if you're not putting in a bunch of parameters. You just sort of asking a question. They work really great at the beginning of a unit when you kind of just want to have students think about to use our science terms, a storyline or a phenomenon. But they also work really nicely um, when you can kind of pair it with one of those 5-minute fillers I just showed you, or any other Avid strategy where you're wanting students to sort of compare their thinking or discuss their thinking. Um, I really like these for what I call quiet days, right? Whether it is after a quiz or a test or something in which you want, you can also have it as an ongoing discussion that's continually revisited, right? But discussions are very easy to set up and very quick. And like I said, they don't have to be talking to do it. So it can kind of sit there in the background. And if it's, go in there and reflect on your thinking, works great at the end, middle, or the beginning. Just kind of depends on what you want to ask them. But think of them as journal rights, and then you're having them respond to peers. I also particularly like this at the secondary level because as we think about getting students ready for college and careers, discussion boards are something we've probably all interacted with in some capacity as adult learners because it's just kind of a staple of, I think, modern education and the way we use LMS systems, right? So the discussion board, awesome. The Lumio word search is a is a is a student favorite. You can click on the link I just dropped in the chat if you would like. And I absolutely love the word search. It's not necessarily a warm up. This is like a pre warm up activity, I guess. Whenever I'm doing something on the computer, it takes students a little while to get logged in. Kids are working at different paces, but I want them working on something. But I don't want everyone work. I can't necessarily put the warm up, um, in the computer. One person is done and the other person doesn't log in for 5 minutes. You kind of need this like time filler almost just to get everyone on board at the same level, right? Similarly, if I give them a paper warm up, then they're not getting logged into their computers. It's like that there's that breakdown. So I really like Lumio does these. If my Lumio will load, let me see. Did anyone get it to load? Did it load for anyone? Did anyone click on the link? You are? Okay. Yep. Good. Thank you, Laura. It's taking me in my class to use this lesson. These are super, super easy to make. You can create them in about 2 minutes. If you've got the words in your head, then you can create the word search. The kids love them. I used to use them during virtual learning. We would race. I would tell them that we are going to get started when they have until I finish this word search, and that's when we are going to get started. But it does reinforce vocabulary. If you've got COTOT students or language learners, being able to find and identify words even in a word search capacity it's very accessible for no matter who the student is. And seeing words, seeing how they're spelled is helpful no matter what the grade level is. You can't ever go wrong with a word search, I feel like. They do hints, they get way more complicated. You can make them spell backwards, forwards, but also very no prep, low prep, and a great just opener to any sort of lesson that's going to be done on the computer. And it's easy to share, just like I shared that link with you. It's easy to drop that link in Brightspace so they have access to it. So kind of a fun one. Quizlet Live. Does anyone use Quizlet Live? No. Quizlet is approved at the high school level. You can use it at the middle school level. They just can't sign in. Quizlet has come up with, if you haven't used it recently, it's really harnessing the power of AI. You can create a vocabulary list for about 15 vocabulary words in about 2 minutes. You type in the vocabulary word, and it now uses AI to generate the definitions. And it'll give you a choice about 3 or 4 definitions at different levels. So you type in potential energy, it pops up the definitions you want, you select the one you want, and boom, you have a flashcard, potential energy and its definition ready to go. So you can get through quite a few in a pretty short amount of time. And then you can turn on what's called Quizlet Live. And Quizlet Live is a collaborative game or an independent game. They now have an independent version. So what it is it groups students This is an in-person activity. They do need a device. It groups students. Each student sees the definition on their screen, but every student in the group has a different set of vocabulary words. So they have to communicate with each other about what vocabulary word or what definitions they have in order to match that. If they get it wrong, it kicks them back to the beginning. If they get it right, they keep collecting points. So I really love it on Fridays, right before holidays. Just when honestly, I used to do these. I used to always have a Quizlet deck ready to go. I could throw it in last 5 minutes of class, last 8 minutes of class when it's that weird time. You don't really have enough time to start something new. You're not really sure what to do, and you want to give the kids a good little brain break, but reinforce their learning. I mean, you can really work on vocabulary at any point in the quarter. I always say the later in the quarter, the faster the games are. The earlier in the quarter, the slower they are because they don't know their vocabulary as well. And now that they have the individual option, I love it for giving them some time to kind of do this sort of game individually before an assessment, or like I said, as an extension activity that they can always go back to if they finish early. They are still competing against the people in their class, but everyone is playing their own game. And recently, I couldn't figure out what some kids were doing, and I'd given them this option about a week ago, and there was a small group of them who had all decided to pull it up to play against each other, which I just thought was great. I mean, I can't be that mad when you're actually doing an assignment or an extension activity that I gave you a week ago that you voluntarily wanted to do in class with your free time. So, Quizlet Live, love it, recommend it. These next two are Discovery Education. Discovery Education now has studio boards. I'm going to show you, this link will actually take you to if you haven't clicked into Discovery Ed today, the link won't work. But this will take you to their activity templates. So if you've ever heard of their SOS strategies, they have a ton of templates here that when you just click on them, I love AEIOU. It's one of my favorites. It'll show you what it is, and you can go to build this activity. It opens it up. It is pre-built. All you have to do is drop in your video, which is nice. Now you can customize this. Some people don't like that it is telling them to answer all of these questions, the AEIOU questions, in one box. Because what if kids forget? But you could build it out and separate out each one of those words. But this is done for you, right? Gives you the directions on the side. It's pretty easy to share out with your students. And again, doesn't take any time. Makes a great warm up, makes a great extension. I mean, kind of all of these things make kind of those elements. But I do love the discovery boards. Like I said, there's this when we have short days, these are really nice because you can stack a couple different strategies together with different videos or articles. I've used them for subplans and even alternative assignments for my EL students because I can put Spanish and English language videos right next to each other, or I can level the type of video that they're watching. So it is an alternative to the assignment that another student is doing. I also teach co-taught and self-contained. So there's a lot of opportunity for needing that variation in material, and studio boards makes it very easy to get that material to the students at their level. All right, we're almost done with my list here, which next is Discovery Education video quizzes. So you may or may not know that Discovery Education now has pause and play video quizzes. You can make them with any video in Discovery Education, which is great, or they have a pretty good library of videos. So when I'm looking for, I had to make subplans not that long ago. Oh, wrong button. And I really was looking. I just needed kind of something else, right? One more thing that we could do. And I went into the video quizzes. I didn't really want to make my own, but I can go into the quiz library and I can search for a topic. You can sort by grade level. They may not have it on the topic you want, but I feel like there's a video in Discovery Education for just about everything that you can make your own, but it's always nice to start with what they already have made. The quizzes are really good, and takes a few minutes. My co-taught students, I have them do a video quiz before they do their CFAs and their quizzes or their CER writings. I like them to start with one of these video quizzes, gets them thinking, reminds them of the content, quizzes them as they go. But this quiz library exists. It's already there. You can search it and assign whatever you want. And it's also very easy to share in Brightspace. Okay, I'm going to skip Adobe Express for now, but I might come back to it. Lastly is WeVideo. WeVideo can seem like an intimidating thing to assign to students as an assignment, but I'm here to tell you that you can do very simple video projects in as little as 2 class periods or take as much as a week or more, the more complex they get. What's super nice is creating a WeVideo classroom you can do in about 3 clicks. You can create a WeVideo classroom. So create your WeVideo classroom in 3 clicks. I have some links here that explain to you how to do that. And then WeVideo, if you click on the WeVideo link in here, and I can share it. Sorry, I wasn't sharing all those links in the chat, but um, WeVideo has an inspiration hub or an assignment hub. And I was recently looking for an idea for a project, and I've always done these PSAs, and I happen to just be sometimes I go to these sites. All these links in here are sites that I'll just go to and just sort of flip through to see if there's I want something easy. I don't want to spend a lot of time making it, but I need something. And I kind of have all of these things bookmarked and remember to go back to them and cruise through them. And so I ended up doing this public service announcement project in about 3 days with my students. And the products that students create will never disappoint you when you give them projects like this. My students participated in a meeting with ASP where they presented their projects, and they got asked, did you like using this medium? And one of my students responded that they actually really liked it because they were able to use images and clips to represent their thinking in a way that they weren't really sure how they could explain it in words. Which is really a nice thing to have at least a middle school student kind of mull over and be able to articulate that they liked the opportunity to be able to express their knowledge in a different way, which we know as teachers. We know that's a thing that we're supposed to be doing and that students want to do. But I think we get caught up in how difficult these things could be. But I'm here to tell you that WeVideo makes them pretty easy to do. One of my favorites is this I Am poem. I think it's a fun thing to do on one of those days before break, or like we have 2 short days coming up. If you're in that weird spot, you're not sure you want to give them something, you don't. What's nice about this entire website is it gives you an overview of the lesson. It gives you student examples, and it gives you the copy and paste directions for you to copy and paste into your WeVideo assignment. And you push it out to the kids. Kids join your class, and they are off to the races and making their own video. So something like this can easily be done in 2 class periods. If you're in high school, 1 class period would be plenty of time to do a kind of basic project like this. And even the PSA, depending on what your parameters are going to depend on how long that project takes. But it was interesting when I was putting together my thoughts for low prep, no prep, low prep, and I thought of WeVideo, and my immediate thought was people are not going to believe me if I tell them this is a no prep, low prep activity. But I guarantee you, between creating your classroom, which takes 3 clicks, creating the assignment, which takes less than a minute because the instructions are given to you, and if you click on these student resources, this is a link you can share with students that actually provides all of the instructional videos tailored to students on how to use WeVideo. So not bad in terms of what you have to do to get the project to the students. Okay, so that was a lot, I know. Comments, questions, or ideas? This is really where you help lead what happens next. How about that? If you've used something before. Yes, Lenora.
All right, just a second. You're really going to see me looking raw.
No problem.
All right. So I was also tasked with thinking about some low prep, but like really low prep, like absolutely no prep. And something that's not just, right, but something that's just not a filler. And so I came across, there's a history teacher, her name is Amanda Sandoval. And she has done a series of like a slide deck and some lessons on what's called learning bentos. And so basically it's like the students taking a picture or using a picture and then um, uh, or taking a collection of items and taking a picture of them, or doing a collection of items digitally that you grab and you cut and paste in there, and then you talk about the significance of them. And it can be done on all sorts of topics. Like they have hashtag book bento, hashtag history bento.
Oh, bento, like a bento box, like
Yes, like a bento
for
box. Yeah. Oh,
lunch.
sorry,
I
sorry.
got you. I was
Okay,
like, I don't
sorry.
know what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Bento.
So anyway, so anyway, the one thing I did like about it is that there are some templates out there. So like I was going to show this to our new teachers who are kind of overwhelmed because it's a longer project that you
Yes.
can do, because it's something you could probably do to wrap up a unit or whatever, or to review before a test. And it's something that could take a little bit longer amount of time. And if the template is there, then really it's just about the students. Like all you need to do is provide the context,
Hmm.
and then the student is the one putting in all of the significance and the symbolism, and choosing what was significant and why they think it was significant. And you could do this for anything. You could do it for, real world applications for math.
Hmm.
You could do it for process and science, lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to put together just some templates that I found all over the web and from this
Yeah.
Amanda Sandoval, so that basically the teacher has to do pretty much nothing.
Yeah, well, and I would say, I mean, you can do that sort of thing in DE Studio boards. You can do that in Wixie. You can also
Yes.
do that in WeVideo, and all of those, because you mentioned not like a filler. And what I want to stress about all of the things I just shared about is I've never used any of them as quote unquote filler. They're always on topic. They are always
Well, I guess what I
contributing to
meant is a
students'
longer
learning.
project, a longer
Yeah.
project. And I didn't mean the
So
filler in a pejorative way. I mean, like, definitely, I just mean something that's a little bit longer than like
yeah,
10
that's what's
minutes or
hard.
15 minutes. Right. And it's hard. And We Video is a great tool, but I find that my teachers won't use it unless they feel comfortable with it, because although there are videos for instruction, if they get asked by students questions on how to do things, they want to know how to do it. And
Yeah.
so that one, and then the studio boards are fantastic. But I was just looking for, like, I was tasked with looking for something that was like literally no prep. And so if you don't have to figure out a video, I mean, these are
Well,
all
no, but
fantastic ideas. Yeah.
the studio board, what is interesting is they have an option when you create a studio board,
Hmm.
because you just mentioned like students adding pictures, right? And so
Right.
one of the only applications that will do this when you go into Studio. So I'm in Discovery Ed.
Right.
We go into Studio. You can create a new board. There are your templates, the ones I
Right.
was just showing you.
Right. In
The
the
board,
SOS.
the so like you could create one of these and share the template, right? But the nice thing is one
Right.
of these is so when you go to quiz items, right? I'm sorry, I'm zoomed
Uh-huh.
in. The one of the options is block. This block is literally a block that students add content to. So if your question was add find an image that represents internal conflict, right?
Right.
They can then use Discovery Education. When they click on add content, they can use Discovery Education or find an image on their device or upload their own image, right? But the button is there. It
Right. And
prompts
that's,
them to
yeah, and that's
add it.
fantastic. Like, what I would need to do is, like, what I will do is I will, like, now, as part of the templates that I give to
Hmm.
these teachers, I will create one in Studio and show them
And you
so
just
that
use
it's
that
done
share
for
link.
them.
Yeah, and
Right.
you just
Because
use
I'm
that
looking for
share
some,
link.
yeah, I'm just looking for plug and play. Oh, just use the share link, right?
Yep. So if you
Yeah.
create it, you just go to
Right.
share, copy that link, and you can share that with any teacher, and then it's in their DE,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. So this is great. I mean, I was just trying to, like, just say, yeah, this is something that I'm like working on. I think all of these are great ideas. And, I've explored
Yeah.
some. So, and I was just saying, like, just looking for plug
Well,
and
and
play stuff.
that even with that, because you were talking about sharing templates of plug and play, once you have the idea, it's always nice to build them out, right? Because tools like Wixie, building a template like that in Wixie and sharing that with your staff is nice because it already has all the accessibility features built in
Right.
for your ELs and your low level learners and your struggling readers. It's already all built into that platform because we also have to think about it's great to have plug and play, but also where's my plug and play differentiation? Um, and so keeping
Right.
in
Well,
mind,
the plug and play stuff is in slides right now. So I mean that
yeah, which is
there's right, and there's the read write app which we're really pushing at our school, read and write.
mhm.
So there's a read and write bar. So and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff too. And then also the one thing I was going to ask about the studio boards because I don't use them a huge amount is um, can you print a template in that?
Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can go here and go to print preview. And so you can print full pages with teacher notes or print the notes page with teacher notes not included. Sorry.
Okay, so if you
Print what?
hit print full page, what does it look like? Just curious.
It should be that like
Yeah, that
slide.
whole thing. Yep, that big slide. I was just curious since you're there.
Yeah. But
You
yeah,
know
it
what I
shows in
mean?
the slide. And this one obviously will show
Because
faster
I'm
content.
looking for stuff also. I was also asked to just look for stuff too that can be printed. Yeah, so that we can like, because we have a ton of kids who don't bring Chromebooks and that way,
Mhm.
if maybe you could draw a picture or, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. All right, cool.
Yeah. Studio Board definitely allows you to do that. Um, let's see. All right. So Ingrid asked about Lumio. So I want to jump into Lumio because, like I said, this is how we sort of guide what happens next. And this is going to feel haphazard, but sorry. All right. So from ClassLink, I can hop into Lumio. There's a couple different ways to enter Lumio. I personally go this way. You can also enter from your Google Drive from going to New, More, and Lumio. All right. So from my Google Drive, you can go to New, More, and Lumio. And that will also get you into Lumio. If you go in through ClassLink, it's going to want you to click a button that says I'm a teacher. And then it'll log you in. You can go in either way. Depends what I'm doing. But there was a question about is the word search in Lumio ready made? And the short answer is it's as ready made as the list of words that you have. So here's the one that I shared with you all. So sorry, that was too fast. I can go to new and create an entirely new one of these. I can import some things, but in this case, we were talking about that word search. So one of my options is game-based activities. When I go to the cat centers, they really like Lumio partly in because of all of the easy ways that you can do basically quizzes with the kids, whether it's a game show quiz, an individual quiz, or a team quiz, and all you have to do is punch in the questions, right? But one of my options is word search. I am then taken to a screen that allows me to put in all of the words at some point. It should. We've all been having some network slowness here. So once I'm here, I can put in my vocabulary. I don't know. Oops. Whoops. I can put in my vocabulary. I can change my grid size. And then I have 3 levels of difficulty. Easy says vertical and horizontal words only. Moderate is vertical and horizontal and diagonal. And then hard is vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and backwards. So you get 3 levels of difficulty. You can choose to show the word list or not, and you click next. And pick your background and click finish. And that's it. It's going to do the rest itself. Um, yes, I totally agree, Robin. It is a really nice one. I also like it. with some of my struggling readers and things. I just like being able to have them expose the vocabulary. So once I am here, I can title it and click finish editing. And you have the option of these 3 dots. Those 3 dots give you a share link. This student paste link is what I shared with you, right? So I can drop that into Brightspace or give that to the students and they can access it. I should mention I also use Lumio in as a reteaching component because you can add more complex slides, right? It doesn't have to be something quite so simple, but the word searches are really nice, like I said, because you kind of just sometimes need something for students to do before or after. So here's a worksheet that my students did. They're building out this graph, and then they have a fill in the blank claim essentially, and this is linked in their Brightspace to one of their. It's a reteaching item on one of their redo quiz questions. They have to come and do this, and then go into that. But yeah, you can do a lot with Lumio. It's worth playing around with those, but I figured the word search was always kind of a nice thing to have. To Okay, let's see. Let me check my. I noticed that the word search that if you complete it. Yes, it is reusable and it does reshuffle. And actually, every student has a different one. So when I first started doing these and I would race my students, which is just a great way to time the beginning of the day, um, they thought they could look at mine because I was doing it, and it did not take them long to realize that mine was different, and then theirs was different from the person next to them. They're all different, right? So you can use them again, and it'll reshuffle it, which is really nice. To Lenore's point about kind of this more plug and play mentality, which we talk a lot about, and that's why this whole concept of like no prep, low prep is a little bit of a misnomer, I feel like, when you get to middle and high school, because I'm never going to waste a day on nothing, right? I always want it to have meaning. But there's also at our level, you're never going to find an entire lesson that's done for you, right? You can have longer projects. You still have to give them the context. You have to have the ideas. And like Lenora said, people don't want to use WeVideo because they're not comfortable. But also, people aren't going to use any resource if they're not comfortable. That's just the fact of the matter. And where we are with our level of technology and students now is there's no reason for students to be creating digital content in a Google slide, right? We have so many other platforms for students to use that are way more student friendly and way more accessible for students, that we really need to figure out how can we build the capacity of our staff to feel comfortable in these other applications. And the reason I gave you as many options as I did, and I will try to poke into them, is as e-coaches and Brightspace champions and things, you have the ability to sort of pick one as a focus for your school. Or if you are a content teacher, pick one on your team and use it. I know that my team alone, working with our team, we have learned all together, a bunch of teachers who I've got a long-term substitute, a media specialist, the science DC who's new to the school, and myself, and a retired long-term sub. We have all learned this year together to use Wixie and to use WeVideo, which is something that you would think would be really difficult, but there is strength in teams, right? And so with that, if you pick something and you can kind of get the feel for it and then make an assignment in it and share that. People love it when they know someone else has done it, right? So in Discovery Ed, in that vein, if you go to Explore, yes, and there is you do have the Nearpod extension and Google Slides. If you go to the Explore tool, this is about the closest you can get to ready-made full lessons. Although again, when we get into high schools, it's a little bit easier with middle schools. High schools are pretty specific. So you see you have the options of ready-to-use activities, quizzes, and interactives. If you go into ready-made activities, you are a little bit limited at the high school level in terms of your content, but you certainly have things that you can that I would consider are fillers, or at the very least are really nice SEL strategies or equity strategies, right? Actually getting to know your students and building that relationship status and getting to know them. So while you can sort by grade level with instructional strategies, which it did not sort, you can see here there are anything that looks like this is going to be one of those studio boards. They do have like STEM careers choice boards. I do find what I found in high schools and in middle school, a lot of the Encore teachers can find very nice stuff in here, right? About career exploration and things like that. But those also, it's very science and math heavy and career heavy. But those are all honestly created for you, right? If I click into this science activity by just clicking on it, I can take a look at what it looks like in that studio board. Read then launch the interactive. Show what you know. You kind of keep scrolling down. Gives you some things. Obviously, as Lenore showed us, you can print this out, except your videos and interactives wouldn't work. But if you wanted to assign this, you would just click the assign button and it allows you to assign it to your class. And then your class is just jumping over into Discovery Ed. It does integrate with Brightspace, so it'll drop a link into Brightspace that'll take them directly to the assignment. Did anyone else have any, I suppose, questions, comments, or things they've done, or things they want to see more of? Or a goal that you have, or a reason you don't use some of these resources with your students, aside from devices, because I deal with that at my school too. We all do. Yeah. All right. Well, from here, I will jump into WeVideo. Like I said, we're going to jump around if no one gives me anything to do. So WeVideo, like I said, really have had a breakthrough with even my personal enjoyment of WeVideo with students. Especially just seeing my co-taught students work with it and how quickly they can actually produce something in it, and just how simple it is. I mean, it's simple, and a lot of us have, not all of us, but there are many of us that remember teaching during the pandemic, and I feel like we have at this point, we all have some basic video editing knowledge. We all recorded a video during the pandemic, I think. If you didn't, I'm jealous, and I want your Google Drive with no videos in it, because mine is full of them. But when you click on WeVideo, you are greeted with this nice little button that says Classroom. And if you've never been in here before, you won't see any classes. You will see that I have classes. And I'm going to prove to you that you can create this class in 3 clicks. Okay. So I can go to add a new class, and I'm going to create a class. And I'm going to name this class eCoach Day. And I'm going to give it the grade of 2023. And I'm going to click create because I've just created my class. That was it. That was all I had to do. I can open, by clicking on I can open it. In order to have my students join it, this is the one thing, is my students have to be able to put in this code, right? So when they go into WeVideo Classroom, it prompts them to have a join code, kind of like Google Classroom used to do. And that is about one of the drawbacks of WeVideo Classroom, is it's not rostered. So they do have to join the class, but you share that code with them, and then they are in your class. From there, we have assignments. They even have a draft assignment for you ready to go. But if we wanted to create our own, I can click the create assignment button, and I'm going to name my assignment. Again, still have to have the idea of my assignment, which here, right, is where I can come over and let's say I wanted to go ahead and use this I am poem. I'm just going to copy and paste my instructions right in here. They can make a video. They can do a GIF, which is kind of cool. Kids making GIFs about stuff. That's kind of neat. Podcasts. And then you can have individual or team and your due date, right? What is nice, you can't set up a template in WeVideo, but you can drop media in there. So you can set up a media bin. And what that allows you to do is either add media from your computer that you have, or you can search the stock media within WeVideo so that all of your students have some video or clips to start with. It's a great scaffold. The last project I did with my students with this, I gave them all a pretty robust media library to get them started. Not just scaffolded, so it took a little less time. They're not finding all of this footage from scratch, but they don't need their own footage. WeVideo has a ton. And then from there, you click publish and you have your assignment. Lenora, yes.
I was just going to add it's so much easier to use this in groups now. So
Yep.
we did podcasts with the kids, and some of them want to work alone and some of them want to work in partners, but you're not really sure what at first who's going to do what. And so what we did was just created like a bunch of groups, and then kids who were working together just joined the same team. And the kids who wanted to work alone just joined a team that wasn't booked yet. And so it is so easy for them to partner up in this than it was in the old program, and it's really easy to set up.
Yeah, because you just join the teams, you create the teams, they sort of kind of join which ones they want to be in. And like you said, you create extras for the students who want to work alone, which is a really nice option to have.
And then also the other thing too was like, it was easy to move a kid, because there was some kid who's like, oops, I joined the wrong team, or I want to be on that other team. And it was really easy to just move a kid over to another team.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we get caught up in sort of how fancy videos can be. But the one thing I have done with my students is, I'm starting with a few media clips. And the first day, all we do is add a clip, right? We add a clip to the timeline. I don't even really I will talk about shortening the clip, but only by dragging the sides to shorten the clip. We add text, which is pretty straightforward in terms of, adding text. A lot of times the biggest thing is they're like, how do I get the text from here into the video? Show them how to layer it. And I mean, that is essentially the whole first day, is just adding some clips and putting text on top of it. Day 2, I will talk about transitions and adding transitions to your video to make it seem a little bit more polished. And then from there, the last thing is adding audio, which again, it's as if WeVideo is made for this. You go to audio, you can search a bunch of things, you can add it, and they just drag it down here. And really, I've just created a whole video, and y'all have only been watching for 4 minutes. So in that regard, the low prep really is have the idea or find the idea in the WeVideo library, and then set up the assignment and have your students do it. I realized, and I didn't realize this, I was very surprised with my middle schoolers. A lot of them used WeVideo during the pandemic when they were in elementary school, so they were quite proficient at it. And so again, yeah, I think it's more on the teacher that gets the roadblock from making video projects, and not the students, right? I think they're probably way more comfortable with using it. But yeah, So, it is that's sort of I mean, that is, I just made by the way, we're going to win an Oscar for this tiny clip. So don't worry. The classroom allows you a really nice way to track the students' projects. I had my students export them and then upload them into a Brightspace assignment just so they were all in Brightspace and they had their rubric. But even from here, I can see all of my students' projects. We will in the last 5 minutes, Amy. We will drop the attendance. We're not quite there yet. I think I have y'all till 1:10 or 2:10. Sorry. Let me check my 2:05. Yeah, and so from here I can review their video. I can see who's turned in. I can turn it in for them, so it's pretty easy to see what they have created. That kind of gets us through the bulk of these. Did anyone have any? Yeah, I think the next session starts at 2:15. We're done at 2:05, I think. Yeah, did anyone have any other questions? Want me to show them anything? Oh, maybe there's not a space between the next one, Debbie.
No, I think Carrie may have jumbled up, like in the beginning, Dr. Bedell wasn't coming or something like that, so things were shifted.
Okay. I won't. I don't know. I have to pull up that email. Yes, Ingrid.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So Quizlet Live, I guess we have to go like through another tab. That's not in part of our like Brightspace. One of our, is it in there in our, not Brightspace. I'm sorry. ClassLink.
Yes. So Kahoot is in ClassLink. Quizlet is not.
Is not. Okay. But it is approved for us to use.
It's approved so it's approved for high school. It is approved in middle school as long as they're not creating accounts, which to do Quizlet Live, they don't have to sign in or do anything like that. Okay. I typically don't send my middle schoolers to Quizlet, right? I don't send them to this website.
All right. So I'm just logging in because I kind of like that. So I'm getting started with the class. Is there any like kind of, I'll play with it. Are there any tips as far as, putting in like the vocabulary you were talking about or?
Yeah, here I can, so let me just go to my study sets because all you really need to do is create a study set, right? Which is just what they call flashcards, right? So
okay.
Big blue button over here. Sorry, everything is slow.
That's it. I'm a little slow today too. My camera keeps acting weird. Your class name, you can put in whatever you want, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because, and like I said, depending on your age level, what you're working with,
I'm high school.
All right. So you can send there's a lot more tools you can send them here, but yeah, just call it, I don't know, science or math or, whatever it is. But I usually go by the quarter. And so if I do this, so I can type in wave, and by the time I come over to my sorry, I just did it. It tells me I can choose from wave or wavelength. And then when I come over to my definition, well, it was allowing me to choose my definition. I don't know why it won't stay there.
Do you allow the members to add and remove sets and to invite new members?
No.
No. Okay.
No. So even this, if I go electromagnetic spectrum, it's going to populate the word for me.
Okay.
And then it starts to give me a bunch of different definitions, right? So it becomes very, very quick to, make these sets when you just have to light lit. There you go.
Okay.
I'll do, let me see. Wait, what is it? Longitudinal. There we go. Longitudinal wave. And it gets smarter. It starts to realize what you are trying to create. And same
Okay.
thing with your images. You don't have a ton of image choices on the free version, right? It's kind of a freemium thing, but
Right.
it's only going to give you the images that are relevant to your term.
Okay.
So you can really build out a complete set in a very, very quick amount of time. And then you're clicking create. Once you've created it, your Quizlet Live will give you the game.
Okay.
And it allows you to either do individual or team-based. But Quizlet Live essentially gives you it's like Quizlet.live. And they type that in and they punch in your code and you're off running. So the kids don't even really need to go to this, like they don't need to be in Quizlet for them to play Quizlet Live, which is why it's great even for middle school.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, in the high school version, you can actually use all of these, which are also really, great learning tools. But I mean, Quizlet Live was what my kids loved, and they still do love Quizlet Live. I mean, it gets them talking and collaborating, and there's that competitive energy, and they're just excited and amped up, especially on those days, like I said, when they're already all amped up. We might as well put all the energy towards learning because they're bouncing all over the place. Well, the attendance link has been dropped in there. I appreciate y'all, hanging out, and yeah, hopefully something I.
Thank you, Coralina. Great session.
Yeah. If y'all are in the high schools, I'll see you in some of my morning sessions. I'll be doing Adobe Express on March 22nd if you're curious.